When 50,000 Carthaginian soldiers surrounded and annihilated 86,000 Roman legionaries in a single afternoon, the Republic stood on the brink of extinction. This is the story of Cannae, the day Rome's legions died. August 2nd, 216 BC. The morning sun rises over the plains of Apulia in southern Italy, illuminating a landscape about to become Rome's graveyard. For 2 years, Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who dared cross the Alps with war elephants, has ravaged the Italian countryside like a vengeful ghost. At Trebia, he destroyed a Roman army. At Lake Trasimene, he butchered another, driving 15,000 legionaries into the water where they drowned in their armor. Rome bleeds from 1,000 wounds, and still Hannibal marches, unstoppable, undefeated. The Senate faces a choice: extinction or confrontation. They choose confrontation. In the spring of 216 BC, Rome mobilizes the largest army in her history, 8 legions strong, reinforced by equal numbers of Italian allies. 86,000 men. The greatest military force the Republic has ever assembled. Surely, the Senate reasons, sheer weight of numbers will crush this Carthaginian upstart. Surely Roman discipline and courage will prevail. Command falls to 2 consuls, as Roman tradition demands. Lucius Aemilius Paulus, a veteran general who understands caution, who remembers the disasters at Trebia and Trasimene. And Gaius Terentius Varro, a populist politician hungry for glory, convinced that Roman valor needs only the chance to engage the enemy to secure victory. By law, they alternate daily command, a recipe for disaster when facing a tactical genius like Hannibal. The Roman army marches south, tracking Hannibal to the plains near Cannae, a small village where the Carthaginian has seized a Roman supply depot. The terrain favors large-scale battle, flat, open ground perfect for deploying massive formations. Varro sees opportunity. Paulus sees danger. But Varro holds command on August 2nd, and Varro burns for battle. Across the field, Hannibal watches the Roman host deploy with the keen eye of a predator studying prey. He commands 50,000 men, Libyan infantry in captured Roman armor, wild Gallic warriors hungry for Roman blood, swift Numidian cavalry from North Africa, Spanish swordsmen renowned for their ferocity. Outnumbered nearly 2 to 1, any sane commander would retreat. But Hannibal is not sane. He is brilliant. And he has set a trap. The Roman battle formation is a thing of terrible beauty. 80,000 heavy infantry mass in the center, packed shoulder to shoulder in ranks so deep that men in the rear cannot even see the enemy. The legions form a battering ram of human flesh and steel, designed to smash through any opposition by sheer crushing weight. On each flank, 3,000 cavalry, Roman citizens on the right, Italian allies on the left. The formation embodies Roman military philosophy, overwhelming force applied directly, grinding the enemy into dust through superior numbers and discipline. Hannibal's formation looks almost suicidal by comparison. His center, 40,000 Spanish and Gallic infantry, forms a crescent bulging toward the Romans, the weakest part of his line thrust forward like an offering. His cavalry masses on both flanks, 7,000 Gallic and Spanish horsemen on the left, 4,000 Numidians on the right. And hidden in plain sight, positioned on each side of his infantry center, stand his elite African veterans, 10,000 heavy infantry and captured Roman equipment, virtually invisible until it's too late. At 11 o'clock, the armies advance. The Roman cavalry on the right flank, noble-born Romans unaccustomed to cavalry warfare, meet Hannibal's Spanish and Gallic horsemen in a brutal melee. The Carthaginian cavalry, veterans of 100 battles, overwhelm the Romans in minutes. Slaughter, not combat. The surviving Roman horsemen flee, leaving their infantry's right flank exposed. On the left, the Numidian cavalry engages Rome's Italian allied horsemen in a swirling dance of feints and charges. The Numidians are masters of this game, drawing the Italian cavalry away from the main battle, keeping them occupied, neutralizing them. The Roman flanks collapse before the infantry even makes contact. In the center, the Roman juggernaut advances like an avalanche. 80,000 men marching in lockstep, shields locked, swords drawn. They strike Hannibal's crescent line and push it back. The Spanish and Gallic infantry give ground, fighting desperately but retreating step by bloody step. The Roman line surges forward, pressing the advantage, confident that victory lies just ahead. The crescent bends backward, becomes a straight line, then curves inward. The Romans push deeper into the Carthaginian formation, blind to the trap closing around them. And then Hannibal springs it. The African infantry on both flanks wheels inward, attacking the Roman flanks. Simultaneously, the victorious Carthaginian cavalry completes its rout of the Roman horsemen and charges into the Roman rear. In the span of 10 minutes, the tactical situation transforms from Roman advance to Roman catastrophe. 80,000 men suddenly find themselves surrounded, trapped in a killing box with no escape. What follows is not battle, it is systematic extermination. The Roman formation, designed for forward assault, cannot maneuver. Men pack so tightly together they cannot raise their swords. The front ranks press against Hannibal's Spanish and Gauls. The rear ranks face Carthaginian cavalry cutting them down like wheat. The flanks endure the disciplined butchery of African veterans who fight with cold efficiency. Romans die by the thousands, crushed together so tightly that many suffocate standing upright, held in place by the corpses surrounding them. Consul Aemilius Paulus falls early, struck down while trying to rally his men. He dies with honor, surrounded by enemies, fighting to the end. Consul Varro survives through luck and cowardice, fleeing the field with 70 cavalry when the battle is clearly lost. 29 military tribunes die. 80 senators and men of senatorial rank perish. An entire generation of Rome's military and political leadership bleeds out on the plains of Cannae. The killing continues for hours. Romans try to break out, but everywhere they turn, Carthaginian weapons greet them. Some fight in desperate clusters, back to back, selling their lives dearly. Others throw down their weapons and beg for mercy, mercy that rarely comes. The sun climbs to its zenith and begins its descent, and still the slaughter continues. Blood soaks into the earth, turning the dust to crimson mud. The field becomes a charnel house, a landscape of the dead and dying. By late afternoon, silence falls over Cannae. The silence of the grave. Of the 86,000 Romans who marched to battle that morning, 70,000 lie dead or dying. Another 10,000 are captured, destined for slavery or ransom. Only 6,000 escape, scattered remnants who fled early or broke through the encirclement by desperate courage. One day. One battle. 70,000 dead. Rome has lost the equivalent of 8 full legions, along with their matching allied contingents. No Roman family escapes untouched. In every home from the Tiber to the Alps, women will soon wail for fathers, sons, brothers who will never return. Hannibal's casualties? 6,000. Most of them the Gauls and Spanish who bore the brunt of the Roman assault in the center. His elite Africans and cavalry remain largely intact. He has achieved what every military commander dreams of, the perfect battle, the complete annihilation of an enemy force vastly superior in numbers. His double envelopment at Cannae will be studied in military academies for the next 2,000 years, the gold standard of tactical brilliance. News of the disaster reaches Rome 3 days later. Panic seizes the city. Mothers, wives, and daughters flood the forum, desperate for word of their men. The Senate meets in emergency session. For the first time in Roman history, the possibility of defeat, real, final defeat, becomes tangible. Hannibal could march on Rome itself. The city's walls, neglected for generations because Rome has always fought her wars abroad, might not withstand a determined siege. Allied cities throughout Italy begin to waver, reconsidering their loyalty to a republic that seems doomed. But Rome does not surrender. This is the moment that defines Roman character, that forges the legend of Roman resilience. The Senate decrees public mourning limited to 30 days, the Republic cannot afford prolonged grief. They forbid mothers to weep in public, lest despair spread through the population. Every male citizen capable of bearing arms is conscripted, including boys barely old enough to wear armor and slaves promised freedom in exchange for military service. 2 new legions form from this desperate harvest. Rome will fight on. The true miracle is what Hannibal does not do. His cavalry commander, Hannibal, urges an immediate march on Rome. "Give me 5 days, and you will dine in the capital." But Hannibal hesitates. His army is exhausted from the battle. He lacks siege equipment to assault Rome's walls. His supply lines stretch back to Carthage across a hostile sea. Perhaps most critically, he cannot believe that Rome will not now negotiate surrender. Surely, after losing 70,000 men in an afternoon, the Senate will sue for peace. He does not understand Romans. The Senate refuses even to acknowledge the defeat's magnitude. When Varro returns to Rome expecting execution for his failures, the Senate instead thanks him for not despairing of the Republic. The message is clear: Rome does not quit. Rome does not surrender. Rome will fight until every last Roman lies dead or victory is achieved. Cannae marks both Hannibal's greatest triumph and the beginning of his ultimate failure. He has destroyed Rome's army but not Rome's will. The Republic adopts the Fabian strategy, named for Quintus Fabius Maximus, the general who understands that time is Rome's greatest weapon. No more massive set-piece battles. No more opportunities for Hannibal's tactical genius to shine. Instead, shadowing, harassing, bleeding the Carthaginian army through 1,000 small cuts while denying it decisive engagement. For 13 more years, Hannibal remains in Italy, winning battles but losing the war. Rome's inexhaustible manpower slowly grinds down his forces. Her Italian allies, after initial defections following Cannae, mostly remain loyal, testimony to centuries of Roman statecraft that bound Italy together through shared citizenship and mutual interest. Carthage, racked by internal politics and fighting wars in Spain and Africa, sends Hannibal minimal reinforcements. He becomes a general without an army, a conqueror without conquest. In 202 BC, 16 years after Cannae, a Roman army under Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus, a survivor of Cannae himself, defeats Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in North Africa. Scipio uses Hannibal's own tactics against him, achieving a double envelopment that mirrors Cannae. The Second Punic War ends with Carthaginian defeat. Rome emerges as the dominant power in the Western Mediterranean, a position she will hold for 600 years. Cannae becomes embedded in military consciousness as the perfect battle, the tactical ideal that every commander dreams of replicating. German generals in World War I study Cannae obsessively, seeking to recreate Hannibal's envelopment on a modern scale. American officers at West Point analyze the battle's lessons in combined arms warfare, cavalry, infantry, timing, and deception working in perfect harmony. The term Cannae becomes military shorthand for total annihilation of an enemy force through superior tactics. But Cannae's deeper legacy is what it reveals about Rome herself. The battle demonstrates that Roman power rests not on tactical brilliance or superior generalship. Hannibal far surpasses any Roman commander of his era, but on institutional resilience, strategic depth, and indomitable will. Rome can lose 70,000 men in an afternoon and raise another army by month's end. Rome can suffer catastrophic defeats and refuse to acknowledge defeat. This is the secret of Rome's ultimate triumph: she simply will not quit. The battlefield at Cannae remains quiet farmland in southern Italy, the blood and bones long since returned to earth. No monuments mark the spot where 70,000 men died. But military historians still make pilgrimages to the site, walking the ground where Hannibal executed the most perfect tactical victory in history, where Rome suffered her worst defeat and refused to fall. August 2, 216 BC stands as one of history's pivotal moments, not because of what happened, but because of what didn't happen afterward. Rome should have fallen. Every rational analysis suggests the Republic could not survive such catastrophic losses. But Rome was not rational. She was relentless. And that relentlessness would carry her from the ashes of Cannae to mastery of the known world. In the end, Cannae teaches that battles are won by tactics, but wars are won by will. Hannibal destroyed Rome's legions. But he could not destroy Rome's spirit. And so the Republic endured, bloodied but unbroken, defeated but defiant. From the catastrophe of Cannae emerged a harder, more determined Rome, the Rome that would conquer the Mediterranean, build an empire spanning 3 continents, and stamp her laws and language on civilization itself. The 70,000 who died at Cannae did not die in vain. Their sacrifice taught Rome that defeat is not destiny, that catastrophe can be overcome, that the only true defeat is the refusal to continue fighting. This lesson would echo through Roman history, defining the character of a civilization that transformed disaster into determination and loss into legendary resilience. What other battles shaped civilizations at their moment of greatest peril? What other defeats became the foundation for ultimate victory? History is filled with moments when everything hung in the balance, when the course of human civilization pivoted on the decisions of desperate leaders and the courage of doomed soldiers. Cannae reminds us that sometimes the greatest triumphs emerge from the ashes of the worst defeats. The blood spilled at Cannae watered the seeds of empire.